Morning, folks. First, my compliments for setting up an outstanding event. I heard a little bit about this just when I walked in. I was asked outside, what are you going to talk about? And I said, I'll figure out when I come here, see what kind of mood you people are in today. How many of you have been involved in this kind of event earlier? Okay, that's a small number, okay. So the question I'd like to ask all of you is any of you aware of having done something that allowed you to be born in the families you were born in, that allowed you to get the kind of opportunities that you got, that allowed you to make friends, the kind of friends you got, allowed you to get the kind of education that you got? I thought about this the other day, and I couldn't figure out. So we're actually truly blessed. All of the people in this room are actually special people. We live in a country, if I just focus on India for a minute, we live in a country where anywhere between 250 to 350 million people do not get 2 square meals a day. And look at the opportunity we have. When you think about it, it makes you wonder what kind of a responsibility each one of us has. Not just to have fun, which by the way we must, not just to do what you do, either studying or your chosen profession, but to reach out beyond yourselves, to see if you can make that difference. It's very easy for many of us to complain that this is not right, the government is not doing the right thing, the environment is not good, the place is dirty. So who's going to make the difference? Who will make the change? It has to begin from each one of us. And if we don't do it, just think about it. If each one of us is not doing this, nobody's doing this. I think it is incumbent upon us, therefore, to realize that the more we do, the more the opportunity to enjoy what we do. I have been very fortunate to be born in the family I was born in, to have had the kind of friends that I got. I went to a school where young people were given an opportunity to make their own choices. They were actually forced to make their own choices. Like many other schools, we had a house system. Every activity in the school was decided by a committee of one boy, and this is only a boys' school, one boy from each house and one staff member. Everybody had an equal vote. Who do you think got outvoted every time? It was the staff members, if they thought differently from the boys. What that did was, that made these young people think about making the right choices. And I mean, everything was decided by these committees, even down to the menu in the dining rooms. I saw one of the young men here from that school. Subsequently, I got an opportunity to take on a responsibility in the family business. Let me roll back a little bit. Our family were actually refugees at the time of the partition of India into India and Pakistan. Like millions of others, they left everything behind. They moved to this side of India from what became Pakistan. And because they came literally the shirts and the bags, the business they started was really a business for survival of the families and to provide for the families. What I think was the game changer for the business was that the family had a fairly religious upbringing. I don't mean in the sense of going to temples and stuff, but I meant in terms of value systems. And the values were, please consider people your biggest resource. Build relationships and retain relationships. Be fair with all that you deal with, all the people that you deal with. And the biggest asset you have, and this, by the way, we believe, because we are trying to practice this in our everyday lives and our business now, the biggest resource we have is people. This is the only resource which is appreciating with time. Every other asset we have is depreciating. So just imagine the value an individual provides to you as they spend more time within the organization. Because of the upbringing of the family values became the business values because the business it was started by my uncles and my dads. There were 4 brothers. So what they believed in became the business values. And we were actually fortunate. Many of the practices that got put into place at that point in time are today called corporate governance. Related party transactions, arm's length transactions. We've had private companies in the group hold board meetings, not today, not in the last 10 years, but since 50 years. We've had outside board members on our companies since 50 years, 50 plus years, and this is not common in India, and this is for those of you from outside. As the business grew, we said we will allow new technologies, new businesses, new processes to come in, but the one thing nobody's allowed to question, no matter how senior the new executive or the manager or the CEO is the value system and the philosophy with which this organization is run. What we did do, however, on the side was, and this was again started about 30 or 40 years ago, is from the family side, the family foundation and the family trust started to reach out to people and focus on areas like education, healthcare, clean drinking water, vocational skills. These are done, some of these activities are done by the companies, but most of these are done by the foundation and the trust themselves. Many years ago, we decided we will not fund any other charity. We will not fund any foundation. If something needs to be done, we will do it ourselves. So that we can touch, feel, and see what's going on. And we can involve people from the family, our family, and the large business family. Incidentally, those of you who know our business will hear the word family again and again as you go through the companies. Because there are a large number of people in these companies who've been there for 10, 20, 30 years. There are many whose dads or granddads were involved with the business, either as suppliers or dealers, distributors, as also working within the companies. And I think we have been specially blessed when you reflect upon this, because this is a company which has grown year on year since it started. We have been fortunate that India as a country grew, but it is not growing all the time. The company, I think, was uniquely blessed because of the kind of practices and the kind of culture which got built within the organization. When I joined business, I was lucky to get trained in 2 companies and then get charge of setting up a new business. This was a textile business, very different from anything that we did in the group earlier. It was interesting. We became pretty soon one of the better run spinning mills in the country. We started to export yarn. The export manager came to me, he said, "Sir, we have to pay off the inspector or the excise guy because he has to seal every container which goes out of this company." I said, "I'm sorry, that's not permitted. We will do the right thing. Any inspector comes into the company, if he asks for 5 pieces of information, give them 7 or 8, treat them well, give them a cup of tea or coffee, but you're not to pay anybody off." So that was the kind of practice we had set in the company. And it was interesting how I could see even some of our own people squirming when I was telling them, this is the way we would like to run the business. One day, our export manager comes and says, "Sir, we have an LC which is expiring on Monday, and the inspector who's been asking for money for the last 6 months and is not being paid is saying, by the way, I'm going for a holiday this weekend. I'm sorry, I'm not available." Because he knew that if you don't ship this by Monday, your LC would expire and you would either not be able to export at all or pay a penalty. So the ability to twist your arm of the system was actually pretty significant. So that's where the test really comes. There are little tests every day in our lives, all the time, how we interact with people, how we behave with people. Because the environment outside is going to change all the time for everybody. And it's not just us, it changes for everybody. It's very easy to make ourselves look and feel like victims and saying, I'm the one being victimized. The reality is, how you respond to people and to change is what defines you as a human being. because we are all faced with the same situation. It may not be the same, it may be similar, maybe quite different, but the impact would be similar. How do you respond is what tells you apart, is what you stand for as an individual, and how you come out through any crisis. So a few things we decided very early on was that we will try and do the right thing. We are not saints, by the way, but we will try and do the right thing. And the reality is it actually works. It works much better. You sleep peacefully at night. You can get up and start addressing a new problem the next day. So I was also fortunate that at a very young age, I think I was in class 9 in school, I got exposed to art in Delhi. During the holidays and vacations, we used to come here. My maternal uncles were here, so we used to come and spend the holidays with them and my cousins who were very good friends of ours. And I became quite passionate about art and I started collecting art. I did some research on art at that time and I found that there were artists here who had affected what goes on in India and in our lives around us, and whose work had got affected by events in history. When I thought about that, I said, why are these people different? Why do they seem special? And when you think about it, these are individuals who are exposing themselves much more to the influence of the environment than many of us are. The same environment is there for all of us, as I said. Some of us keep our eyes and minds closed. But if you do keep it open, your ability to absorb and your ability to respond is so much more. It's so much better. And actually, you enjoy it much more. So the other thing I found, which made work easy, because this is a question I've got asked a number of times by friends, did you start work in the morning and you carry on late? I'm very lucky I can get by with 4 hours of sleep. So I actually finish my work around anytime between 2:30 and 3:30 a.m. And the work that I get done between 11 p.m. and 2:30 is more than a full day's work. But I do it, I don't look at it as a punishment, I do it because I love what I'm doing. So one can focus and one have the choice to pick things that you like, that you love, that you're passionate about. Really, everything becomes much more enjoyable. It's an absolute delight. It's an absolute joy to do what you do. There is no pain. It's not exhausting. And that's a question I've not understood why people get asked, don't you get exhausted with your work? Why would you do it? If it's stuff you don't enjoy, please don't do it. Please focus on things which make you light up. And you can do that keeping your feet on the ground, doing the right thing, doing it ethically, doing it with the right focus to make that difference in your own life and of the lives around you. Because I think each one of us is special. Each one of us was given that opportunity to create a special life for yourselves and for all those around you. Thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you.
T-Gelf, leading the change.